Hello again, everybody. Brian Kenny. Great to be with you. Lot to talk about. Big boy playoff baseball. Phillies are bunting. Why? Dodgers looking to widen the circle of trust. Why? Buck Martinez will join us, Blue Jays broadcaster, very critical of the Yankees earlier in the season. His Jays hit the Bronx tonight. Chris Young, Mark Feinsand on the panel. We have some decisions to go over. But first, yes, Phillies on the brink. A furious ninth inning comeback falling just short. Let's do a little digging in on this playoff game. So I'm just saying, if you're a fan of Dave Roberts staying with his guy and succeeding for the Dodgers, you have to be good with Rob Thompson staying with his guy and sinking for the Phillies. Bottom of the sixth, Blake Snell's throwing a one-hit shutout facing traffic. Having walked two batters, he's facing Bryce Harper with one out. This is real trouble. Harper hasn't been tearing it up, but he's still Bryce Harper. Here are his splits against left-handed pitching. Good against lefties this year. A 125 weighted runs created plus, 100 being league average. So, flashback, 2020 World Series, about the most controversial move in the history of the World Series. Blake Snell dominating the Dodgers for the Rays, about to face the lineup for the third time. He has 9 strikeouts. He's at 73 pitches. Out comes Kevin Cash. Oh no, then the bullpen failed. They ran Cash out on a rail. Oh wait, Cash is still there. He's an excellent manager, still managing the Rays. But anyway, last night, let's go to this one. 90 pitches for Blake Snell, about to face Bryce Harper. He has a one-hit shutout, 8 strikeouts. In this day and age, you would think every big boy team has live tracking on velo, spin, stuff, and not only that, the biomechanics on how the pitcher is getting that velo. If they don't, it's malpractice. So the Dodgers stay with Snell, and starting pitcher fans can rejoice. He strikes out Bryce Harper. Huge AB, great job by Snell. From there, they get the ground ball. Alec Boehm, Miguel Rojas beats Trey Turner to the bag. He could have just tagged him, but he could have gone to second. He could have gone to first. But okay, he got the out. He got lucky. So we go to the bottom of the 7th now. Here's the situation on the other side of things for the Phillies. Jesus Luzardo, also a one-hit shutout, 5 strikeouts, 76 pitches. Luzardo has gone through, again, 2 batters for the dreaded third time through the lineup, and the big 2, Ohtani and Betts, but they opt to send him back out. You're my guy. Teoscar Hernandez would single, Freddie Freeman would double, and at that point, you know what? It's already kind of too late. It's still 0-0. The house is still standing, but the house is on fire. Rob Thompson would go to the bullpen at that point with second and third, nobody out. The run expectancy is basically at 2 runs at that point. Orion Kerkering comes on, strikeout, weak ground ball, but the throw from Trey Turner. I'm sorry, this is a bad throw from Turner. Not a good throw. I know he's on the run, but a run would score. That's another situation, but it's 1-0. But again, it doesn't take much when it's already second and third, right? 2 batters later, Will Smith with the bases loaded. Among those with 400 plate appearances, Smith is the 8th best hitter in baseball this year. That makes it 3-0. It'd be 4-0 by the end of the inning. Now, that should have done it. So I'm saying it's easy to praise the Dodgers and blame the Phillies, but their approach last night with their starting pitcher was very similar. Let it ride with your hot starter until he's no longer hot. But it wasn't over. Time for a little managerial check. 9th inning, up 3. The Dodgers have a choice. They've been using Roki Sasaki as a high-leverage reliever for all 5 games, but he has tremendous stuff. Currently, he was nails in Game 1 of this series and with a day off. But instead, Roberts goes with his closer. That was a big part of the World Series championship a year ago. Struggled this year, injury-riddled season, Blake Treinen. Treinen, ERA over 5 this year. Goes on to light a fire, gives up 2 runs, leaving a man on second with nobody out. That led to the bunt. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, again, you can crush Dave Roberts if you like. It's the popular thing to do. Treinen has been struggling. We'll go back to the 16th, September 16th. That was against the Phillies, right? In the 9th inning, gives up 3 runs, a 3-run home run. But since there, all right, gave up 3 more runs there on September 21st. Then he's got some clean outings. On these outings, 2 clean appearances in the wild card leading up to last night. Sasaki, he was a lost cause for much of the season, but he's come back strong. Here's 4 appearances. That's since he came back to the major leagues. 4 straight scoreless. Also, 7 strikeouts, no walks. I understand to win a World Series, the Dodgers would need, at that point, 10 more wins. You can't narrow the circle of trust to 1 or maybe 2 guys. You won't make it. But I'll revert to the Joe Torre saying, it's a race to 4. In this case, 3. But you grab a win when it's in sight. Worry about the next win when you get there. Let us know what you think. Dave Roberts using Trinan over Sasaki. Rob Thompson bunting with Bryson Stott. Brewers using an opener. I took some hits on that last night. What was the most controversial choice last night by the managers? Chris Young is here. Mark Feinsand is here. Hello, fellas.
Hello.
Good to see you, fellas. All right, so let's start with this. Trinan or Sasaki? What were you thinking at the time, Chris?
What I'm thinking is, as I'm watching the game, I'm seeing Sasaki warm up in the bullpen. So if I'm seeing you warm up in the bullpen, I can't understand why you wouldn't bring them in that spot. Any pitcher that I've ever talked to is just as taxing on their bodies, the up and downs, as it is for them to just go in the game. So if I see Sasaki warming up in the bullpen, and the situation presents itself to where you're up by 3 runs, I'm assuming, okay, maybe if they score, if the Dodgers score a couple more runs, okay, maybe we have somebody else on deck that we'll bring in. Maybe that's when Trinan gets his opportunity. But in a save situation where Sasaki has proven that the bright lights aren't getting to him, and he has clearly made some type of adjustment to where he looks absolutely unhittable right now, I can't make it make sense in my mind on choosing that spot to be the spot that we're going to trust our guy. And I give credit to Dave Roberts. He does this potentially to a fault, is he continues to throw his guys out there because you want to keep the trust between a manager and a player. You don't want Blake Trinan in the bullpen thinking he doesn't believe in me anymore because you're going to need him at some point this postseason. But you're talking about the 10 more wins that they need. Every game is not going to be a save situation game. You will throw some blowouts in there. So if I'm only using Sasaki in the save situations, then so be it. But what stands out to me with Trinan, the balls that were hit for base hits, none of them are in the zone. He's executing his pitches. He's throwing the heater right there above the zone. You're getting the breaking ball down and away off the plate. That should be a chase pitch that Nick Castellanos hits right there. If the hitters are hitting your executed pitches, that shows a sign that they're seeing your ball way too long, and I can't trust you in a big spot right now.
See, now, even I tried to show, going back, trying to be fair, I'm going to judge you. If we're going to judge Sasaki on 4 appearances, to go back the last 13, I'm not even doing that, but the last few, he was clean against the Reds. He had big leads at that point. I'll say this, though. Main thing for me, Mark, is that you're coming off a day off. You have another day off, a travel day coming up. So you have this isolated case. You know how you, in the old days, you play 3 games in a row, when you're dealing with that, then you know my circle of trust has to widen. There's no choice. But in that case, you had a very isolated case. Go to your guy, grab the win.
Literally just took the words out of my mouth, BK. You had an off day the day before. You have an off day the next day. This is a guy who has been a starting pitcher his whole career. He's just making this move to the bullpen. Like CY said, you get him up, pitch him. Right? You're basically using him, essentially, by warming him up anyway. And that lead got away pretty quick.
Yeah.
The 3-batter rule comes in
alarmingly fast.
Right? You can't bring in Trinan. He gives up a home run, let's say, and say, all right, we're enough of this. Let's not mess around. You got to leave him in there for 3 hitters. Well, it got really hairy there for them, and they had to bring in Sasaki. Sasaki's allowed 2 base runners as a reliever so far. Out of the 15 he's faced. He has shown that he can do this job. He showed in game 1 he could do this job. I get the idea of wanting to, show Trinan one of my guys. That's not the spot.
And the time you bring him in is now you have a runner on third base and you neutralize his splitter. I was worried when Sasaki came in the game. At that point, now we can't bounce anything anymore. Now you have to throw the ball over the plate. Your stuff could potentially not be as nasty.
All right, so suddenly, again, to go back, it's 4-3. If you're from the Phillies' perspective, suddenly it's 4-3. You have a man on second. You have nobody out. They were sitting pretty. And at this point, another managerial check. They're bunting. Rob Thompson goes with the bunt. Bryson Stott against Alex Vesia. Nick Castellanos was on second. Mookie Betts beats him to the bag. Max Muncy, a nice throw here. But let's talk about the bunt itself. Mark, where are you on the bunt itself? Look at the particulars here. Castellanos, we know, is slow. Stott versus Vesia. You can see the numbers. Look, it's a lefty-lefty situation. And also looking up to see who else. Harrison Bader would pinch hit for Brandon Marsh. Let's start with your thoughts.
Well, Stott's got a sub-600 OPS against lefties. I understood them not wanting him to face the lefty. You're a little limited because of the Bader injury. Your bench is a little shorter because of it. I think I didn't have a problem with the bunt as it was happening. The first pitch of the at-bat was a high slider. The Dodgers showed the wheel play on that. So at that point, the Phillies knew what they were doing, or at least should have known what they were doing. And then you have to.
You're saying he has the field open, he can then swing. So you see it happening here.
Because the Dodgers actually, I think it was Mookie said, on the first pitch that was a ball, they were afraid they gave away the whole strategy there. Then they execute the wheel play to perfection, and Muncy makes a great play, makes a great throw, Mookie makes a great tag. It all is executed perfectly. I didn't have a problem with the bunt necessarily. the initial call. They should have seen the wheel play at that point, and then maybe you reconsider.
Right. Hold on one second. Here's Rob Thompson on the decision, then you weigh in. Here's Rob.
Just left on left. We're trying to tie the score. I liked where our bullpen was at based on as compared to theirs. So we played for the tie at home. Mookie did a great job of disguising the wheel play. And we teach our guys that if you see wheel, just go ahead, pull it back and slash because you got all kinds of room in the middle. But Mookie broke so late that it was tough for Stoddy to pick it up.
Okay, Chris, your thoughts?
That's where I would have to disagree. Mark, to your point, they showed the wheel play the pitch before, so it's at least on your conscience that this is a possibility.
Or it should be.
Do I have a problem with the call? No. I think the bunt call in that situation, I agree with the call. I think the bunt call is right. It's the execution of it.
Or knowing that the third baseman is in your face, on your grill, so a bunt is going to be much more a fieldable unit.
It's a fieldable unit, but if you're paying attention to the game, this is where I need the players to have a feel for the game. And what I mean by that, when you watch the play run out, I need Nick Castellanos to have a better feel and potentially Stott in that situation. Sometimes you have to pull back and just take the strike. But just watching the base run, if we can show the play of the base running right here from Nick Castellanos, you see when the ball is down, when the ball is in play, we still see Nick Castellanos slightly leaning back towards second base.
Yeah.
If the wheel is on, the second baseman is nowhere close to the scene. You have no reason to be that close to the base. As Mookie breaks, Mookie and Nick should have a foot race to third base. Nick takes Mookie out right here.
Great point.
But if Nick gets a better jump in that spot to get a little extra, I don't think Mookie Betts is that much faster than Nick Castellanos. If they had a foot race, I bet they're right there.
Not measurable, right.
They're neck and neck.
But Mookie finds a way to get there.
So if Nick can get out there and be right there neck and neck with Mookie, Max Muncy, he turns around. You're seeing Nick Castellanos and Mookie Betts at the same time. You can't make that throw. That throw goes into left field, goes out. Now we're criticizing the Dodgers for Mookie breaking too late and the ball getting away, and this is why you put the ball in play, and this is why you bunt, and this puts pressure on the defense, and this is the great call that the Phillies just made. But when it doesn't work out, it's just way too easy, in my opinion, to question the call. The call wasn't wrong. It was the execution and the players' just natural feel of the game in that spot to be able to make the adjustments needed, understanding the wheel was on.
That's a great spot by you, because I'm even wondering, as I'm watching it again and again, how does Mookie beat him to the bag by such a wide margin? The ball was in play, and Castellanos is moving back. He knows if he's running that there's no way, like, I can follow.
I literally want to get up right now. As this ball is entering the zone, there's nobody at second base.
Yeah, the second baseman is moving to first.
With Nick Castellanos taking off early and getting halfway out there, and if he doesn't get the bunt down, then you can always stop and go back. There's nobody covering second base. You have all the room in the world to play with.
I'll say this, though, like, as much as, like, the culture, the baseball culture, they love sticking with your starting pitcher. They love bunting. If that had worked, I'd be getting texts from Harold Reynolds. I was already getting enough texts from Hal Leiter. You know what I'm saying? Like, we love that stuff. Now we see when it doesn't work, it looks disastrous. The Dodgers did have to do an awful lot right.
Yeah.
Max Muncy, the much maligned Max Muncy defensively, suddenly had to make a great throw. Mookie had to get there. He's not a normal shortstop. He got there late in life. Actually, they made a fantastic play.
They did. And, I mean, Muncy had to hit him on the run. It wasn't like a stationary target he was throwing to. Mookie had to get the tag down. There was a lot that went right on that play for the Dodgers and a lot that went wrong for the Phillies.
You got very baseball-y there.
I wanted to.
That. You'll get baseball-y analyst right there. We got baseball-y there. You know, what this will reveal, but I think it's slightly revealing. Bunting with Bryson Stott is the overall winner or loser, if you will, at 49%. Treinen over Sasaki. And the opener got a pass. It's a little under the radar. It wouldn't have had they lost.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
I would have voted Treinen over Sasaki right there.
Here's TR says, I don't think Dave wants to say it, but I think going forward 2 7-game series ahead, he's not going to be able to use Sasaki. True, every day, which we said. However, right, this series, had it been a 1-run or 2-run game, I think Sasaki starts tonight. Yeah, fair enough. All right, look, if you want to win a postseason game while leading 4-1, you got to put your closer in. Who are you saying? Sasaki or Treinen was a closer until very recently.
I think they're saying Sasaki.
And Harry's saying dumb to have Stott bunt, left-handed can pull the ball, moving a slower. Yeah, he could get a ground ball too.
Yeah, it's so easy. Just pull the ball.
Just pull the ball. What's the problem?
Well, that's the same thing when say, just bunt the ball. Not everybody. By the way, he did get the bunt down. It wasn't a great bunt, but he did get it down.
Well, without the wheel play, I'm not sure it was a bad bunt.
All right, so here, baseball he plays. Let's get to that now. Again, ninth inning, it's 4-3, man on second, nobody out. Stott is bunting. We did go over this before, but I think it's fascinating. Betts, recent to the position, beats Castellanos to the bag. You see how he breaks. It's a fascinating play. And Muncy, what a throw. Look at that throw.
Great throw, great play by Muncy. Castellanos, you have to turn that into a foot race. You and Mookie Betts, mano a mano. You got to beat him to the bag.
By the way, this is an excellent play. Freddie Freeman moving to his right. On the move, makes that throw.
People like to say first base defense doesn't matter. Freddie showed us twice last night.
Wow.
That really, really does.
That's a nice play. Again, they get the out at second base. It's huge from there. Bad throw by Tommy Edman. And Freddie will save the day. And Chris, he's good at this, actually, scooping the ball up.
Freddie being ready. A lot of first bases being caught off guard. Freddie has to see that ball coming in from Tommy Edman like, lock it in.
No.
But he locks it in a big moment.
The foot on the
you know why, BK? Because he's clutch.
And he had momentum. And momentum as he's falling down there. Again, a big part of why, and I've been on the Dodgers on this all year saying the defense doesn't make sense. Muncy is older. Betts shouldn't be at shortstop, all that. But they played. Those were clutch plays.
That was an amazing play by Mookie. Freddie Freeman, he's been doing that his entire career. Mookie, for him to say after the game that they haven't practiced the will play not once this entire season, not once in spring training that they work on practicing the will play, and you're able to execute it right there in the biggest spot of the game, extremely impressive.